Okay, Kevin. So earlier we talked about career choices. How do we choose our career? How do we choose the industry? So now let's say I have this self-awareness. I've figured out what I want to do and I have applied for the job and I got invited for an interview. Then it's another challenge, right? How do I navigate interviews? How do I perform in the interview? So today we are going to talk about how to answer interview question or the common interview question that students or job applicants are going to be asked. Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So let's start with the first one. Basically, the most common one. So if I get asked, what are your career goals? And how should I answer it? Or what would be considered a good answer from the interviewer or the HR perspective? So I'll give you some context. So let's say I'm a person with no career goal. I just think that, oh, this job pays me a lot. I make a lot of money. I have no particular goal. Then how should I answer that? Or if my goal is actually to be the CEO, to climb the rank as fast as possible, should I say that honestly? So what would be a good way to answer this type of question?
Yeah, so it sounds like a very easy question to answer, but most people have difficulty answering this question because it really requires someone to dig deep and thinking about what they want, out of the job or career. And I think before we answer that question, I often ask people this question, what are the things that you're looking for in your career? And I asked them, what are the 3 top priorities, right? So I think we talked about it briefly in one of our previous videos. So let's say you want to have a job that interests you, that you can keep learning. That's your top priority. And the second priority may be that you want to work with really creative people. And the third priority, that it's got to be good enough pay, right? That helps you sustain a reasonable lifestyle. Let's say in that order. Then if I was asked a question, what you've just asked me, I would try to frame it within the context of my own career criteria that okay, well, what made me choose this job was because of these 3 things. And if they align, then obviously they're quite close to my goal, because my goal is to choose a job that has these 3 things, right? So that would be, to me, wouldn't say a short-term answer, but a practical answer for this question. So then ask yourself this question, what are the top 3 most important things for me to choose my future job? What does the job need to provide me in terms of either, working environment, the type of work that I'll be asked to do, and or salary, and you can have other criteria too. So ask yourself that question, okay? Now, but when the interviewer asks you the question, what do they really want to know, right? Well, I think they know that you don't know either, because chances are you're pretty young and you haven't thought it through. However, if you had some sort of thought process that looks into the future about where you want to go, then the interviewer would be comforted by the fact that there is at least a general direction of where you're going. And then they're going to look at that direction and see, well, how does this job measure up to the direction that you want to head? Does this job and the trajectory of this job ultimately align with where you want to go? And if it does, I think that will be another evidence of a good fit. If not, I may dig a little bit deeper, or I might say, inside of myself, maybe this job is not that suitable for this guy if he's looking for these kind of things, right? So I hope that people at the interview that they're going to are the jobs that they want. But, you and I both know, fans, that sometimes beggars cannot be choosers. So sometimes we turn up to interviews for a job that we may not like because we have no other jobs, right? I just need to get a job, right? And in that case, I don't want to lie, but how do I sound at least intelligent and mature enough to answer this question? In those circumstances, I would focus on a few areas that I think generally won't go wrong. I think one is about the learning experience of this job that provides me. And the kind of things that you can learn in any job, regardless of types of job, are at least 1, communication skills, 2, relationship skills as you deal with people, and 3, problem-solving skills. So if you're trying to improve your abilities, okay, in these 3 things, and then you tell me that these are the fundamental things about any career, because without them, you are not likely to success in doing anything. And you're hoping that, with this position, you can start the journey of improving on those things. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you are bad at those things, but everyone can improve, right? And the kind of things that I just talked about, you can never improve enough. I'm still trying to improve on those things, even if I'm retired, right? You can always communicate better, for example. So staying with interpersonal skills is quite safe in terms of career goals, right? You can give a very specific technical goal if you are in a technical industry, like a doctor, a lawyer, scientist or whatever. I think it'd be more relevant if you specify those goals in technical, context. But in most of the other roles that we talk about, being more general business type role, unless you have a more specific idea. But if you come to me just like you say, Francis, I have no idea, Kevin, what can I say that I'll recommend? At least talk around the area of interpersonal skills that you think would be relevant. But more importantly, are those interpersonal skills relevant in that particular job? Because if that is not, then I'm saying that, well, you're trying to improve these things, but this job is not about that. This is a warehouse job where you'd be just moving goods from a bus to the door. I mean, you learn some of that skill, but it's not the primary thing that you'll learn, right? Of course, then you need to adjust in context, right? So I can't cover all of the scenario here, but I think, if you look at that job description and say that we require the participant to have following abilities, if you're talking about further improving yourself on those things and, becoming much better version of that, then I think that's a reasonable aim. And if somebody asks you about your aspiration, right, I would say, well, I'm too young to actually know what my possibilities are at the moment. And although I'm very open to any opportunity to come across, so I will keep my eyes open, I'll keep my ears open, I'll keep my mind open. However, in the meantime, I will spend all of my time doing my best at what I'm being asked to do and learn the most from what I'm learning so that I can prepare myself when those opportunities present itself to me, right? So it's kind of answering the question by not answering it, but I think it is factually true. Because how do I know in 3 years' time, are you going to promote me? In 5 year times, are you going to promote? I have no idea. I don't even know if this company would exist anymore. I don't even know if I work here, right? So I would say keep that open and leave that to the opportunities that arise as and when it comes.
So as you talked about the interpersonal skills, communication skills, it's very safe. So then there's a question, right? Would it be too safe? What if the interviewer asks a follow-up question? Then let's say, oh, then why you choose us? Why you choose this job, not another job for improving the interpersonal skills, communication skills? Then in that case, how should I answer that?
Okay, so I mean, the reality probably is that you didn't choose that job specifically. It's just one out of 50 jobs that you apply and you're just going through the interview, right? So, but instead of telling them that, well, you're just one of 50, you're nothing special. Hopefully you've done some preparation, and I recommend everybody to do proper preparation before going interview. What kind of preparation? You need to understand what business is about. You need to understand what the industry is about. You need to understand what the function of the role is about. Okay, so you can speak in context of your own curiosity and interest about why you find this interesting. You may not find this at the core very interesting, but you're coming for an interview, right? So let's be pragmatic about this whole conversation. Tell me something that is appropriate for the meeting that we're having. So if I ask you, why I choose this job, you got to tell me about the things you know about this industry. And then you got to somehow relate that back to who you are and saying, well, that's why I think that we are a good match. So it's all in the preparation. I cannot be specific about it here because there are just too many samples that you can take. But let's say you are looking at a job at let's say a hotel, okay, and you are at the accounting department, right, which is a very normal job to get into. And you say, well, why are you interested in this? Why don't you go and work in the accounting department anywhere you want? And you say, well, one of my favorite things to do is actually to travel. And I think, to come here to work every day, even though I'm not traveling, I am in touch with an industry that I love. And I think I just want to be part of that. And I think it will give me extra motivation to be more engaged in what I do, because I am in my own personal life very interested in everything that is happening on, in the traveling scene. So, that's part of the reason. And you can sort of cite similar things about you and how you can relate to the industry. People are not going to push you hard on this kind of question answer. They just want to know, does this guy know what he's talking about? Okay, has he thought about it? And if you give something that I can relate to, I'll just kind of smile and say, okay, interesting, next question. So yeah, that's how I would handle that.
So does this level of preparation and understanding of self and the industry also apply to if the question is why this company, why you choose us, this group, or let's say in the case of banks, right? There are many banks, same position, same jobs, but they're different banks. Why you choose this bank versus another bank? And what if you actually got multiple offers? And in the interview, you know that you have multiple offers already. But if you get asked this question, why you choose us, not other like our competitors, then how would you answer it in a very good way?
Right. So I wouldn't lie to them. I'll say, well, I choose this bank because you guys are one of the top banks in the industry. There's no doubt about it. And to be honest, yes, I also have applied to some other top banks in this industry. However, there is no telling who's going to give me an offer. And to be honest, it would be my privilege to work for any one of these top banks. So I'm here to really just to present myself and my capability to you in hopes that the way I present myself and the abilities that I have acquired is relevant to what you're looking for. And I'm hoping to get to know you and also allow you to know me. And so I know a little bit about your bank. I wouldn't say I know a tremendous amount, and I'm really looking forward to find out more. But I do know that, recently your bank has done certain things. So in that, you might want to quote some of the things that during your preparation you have known about what the bank has done. And please quote something that is positive. Not that, oh, recently I know your bank has, rumored that you're going to, go bankrupt. Don't say that, right? Say, oh, there's a big deal that you guys have finished or completed, or that, you are rated #1 this market in that survey or whatever. So do something positive, do something specific to the bank, but also be honest that, yes, I am keen to enter the industry and I'm interested in all, top banks, and you're one of them. And I would be very honored if I could have a chance here. I don't think they will be so, egoistic and say, well, it's us or nothing. I think even if you tell them that, they will find it a little bit fake. So that's how we calibrate my response, to be respectful, but to be honest at the same time.
Then that begs the question, right? What if the job applicants, let's say I'm not a very top student, so I'm not applying for the top banks. What if I'm interviewing for the average in the industry? So not the top performers, but still good enough, because you probably won't want to say you're not good, right? Like just bottom performance bank. Then in that case, you can't say it's a top bank, right? So, and the bank probably, the HR themselves know that their bank is not the top. So
Right.
how can we phrase that answer this time?
Okay, so if the bank is not a top bank, we'll just start by saying why you're interested in the banking industry. And if it is not a top bank, then it's probably something that you might want to, again, you have to do some research, right? So what position are you applying for? Is it a bank teller? Is it a, whatever department that is, right? You need to then focus on the job nature itself, okay? Now, if someone asks you, well, we've got a gazillion other bank who does this, and you say, well, I regard your bank as one of the most reputable, right, banks. And in my choice, you're not the only bank for sure. However, you're one of my preferred choices, right? So it still carries some sweetness, okay? You can't give them just the bare fat with no seasoning. You got to give them some sweetness just to, bring a smile to their face and say, I know you're trying to smooth my feather, but okay, I like hearing that anyway, right? So say something that is contextually true, relatively true, without having to prove it, right? Stay generous. So you got to learn to speak like a politician a little bit. If you don't know how, watch some video on how politicians speak.
So on that topic, do you have other thoughts you want to add?
No, but I think there's a lot more we can explore if people are interested. But yeah, those
so
are good
let's
questions.
move on to the next question. Thanks, Catherine.
Sure.